Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a look at the Pulsar X2H V3, and I don't want anybody to be confused. There was never a V2. This really is the new version of the original, but the V3 refers to a new generation of Pulsar. They've taken every mouse in their line and they've basically upgraded all of their mice to have a better internal click structure, as well as their flagship sensor known as the XS1. It's now a modified 3950 in all of their mice, which will carry with it 8K wired and 8K wireless. What I can say so far, I've not been able to test the 8K. It does require a sold separate dongle. It's not available yet for me to test, but the 1K performance here, the sensor feels really damn good. And it could just be placebo. It could just be me going back to the X2H shape that just works for me and I love so much. I mained this pretty much from the time that I had the X2H through the Maya X. And now I'm kind of waffling back and forth because swapping back to the X2H again, regular size, I'm just playing really, really well. So probably my top two mice right now, the Maya X and the X2H V3. So the sensor feels really good. Everything about the mouse, it has the coating of the ES version. And the main differences are going to be, again, the ES only goes up to 4K. The old mice only go up to 4K with a sold separate dongle. Now you've got that bump and the better internal click structure that should hopefully resolve everybody's click issues. But time is the tell for that one. In terms of the build quality, it's absolutely phenomenal, and I will open up the mouse and show you guys the difference between the internal structure of this and the X2H ES. You guys are probably wondering why I have a G Pro Superglide 2 over to my right as well. I'm going to open that because sometimes there's like subtle kind of changes during the batches of the G Pro. I know now it does go up to 8K. Just make sure you guys take note of that. The G Pro got a silent update for 8K performance now. But I do want to kind of test the new generation of build quality of the V3 in comparison to the G Pro Superglide 2, a flagship from Logitech. And the reason I kind of want to do that is because we very seldom get updates on the G Pro Superglide. You know, we got the G Pro Superglide in November of 2021, and then this came out almost 2 years later. The V2 came out in September of 2023. And Pulsar seems to be updating their mice at least yearly or annually in terms of the internal structure and sensor internals, etc. So, you know, it's really nice to see a faster update schedule, to be giving people what they want and to be trying to resolve things. I think that's kind of a good thing to note from Pulsar. And the nice thing about that annual schedule as well, if they keep up with it, the older versions of the mice, the price goes down and down and down. So, you know, you don't have to go for the newest and greatest with the best internals. You can always then get their older mice on sale, which still perform great. But it is really nice to see a company that is constantly updating the shapes that a lot of us might love or a lot of us might main without having to wait 2 years or 3 years or longer. You guys already know the overall build integrity on a Pulsar mouse, with the shell in particular, has always been okay. Like, this thing is built like a tank. I can push as hard as I can in every direction. It's not going to budge or feel like it's flexing. Even the bottom structure is very, very sturdy, even though it has a open layout where you can see the PCB. You've got the on-off button, DPI button, and the skates are a little bit on the thicker side than the old Pulsar skates. I don't think you have to upgrade them, but I can probably see myself probably upgrading these in the future. Overall, the big change, again, is going to be the click design, the click structure. There's really no side flex on mouse 1. I have a little bit more on mouse 2. And while testing, one thing I noticed is there's a little pop of the plastic moving. I don't know where that's coming from, but I'll check on the inside once I open up the mouse. Nothing I felt in game. There's no side flex I felt in game, no switch grind, nothing along those lines. And the switches do feel better and sound better, even though I think it's the same switch, just better tensioning of the plastic over the switch. So pre and post travel are literally, you can see the pre-travel before actuation is like so minimal, and post travel, there's barely any. The side buttons are really, really nice. The side buttons have really no pre-travel, and in terms of post travel, there is literally none on my copy. When you hit it towards the edge, like all mice, 99% of the mice on the market, you will feel a little tilt on the button itself. But these are some of the best side buttons that I've had on a mouse on the market. Mouse 3, very spammable. I think it's using the same encoder. It just feels great. The steps are really well defined and almost like dampened. It just feels really good, and Mouse 3 is very spammable. So all in all, very good build integrity here on the X2H V3. And just to give you guys a sound comparison between the V3 and the ES, and you guys can probably see after opening up the mouse, I did swap the scroll wheel to that of the metal scroll wheel from the ES. It actually fit perfectly, and it did surprisingly fix that right-click issue. Hopefully that issue is not on all of the copies throughout the batches. I doubt it, but it did fix that issue, and the mouse no longer makes that pop on mouse 2. Getting to the Logitech G Pro Superglide 2, this is brand new in the box. Pairing them side by side, the build integrity is just as good on the X2H flagship and the G Pro Superglide in terms of the actual structure. I mean, this thing doesn't budge at all. You've got, obviously, the default skates, not quite as good as that of the X2H, but the side flex on mouse 1 and mouse 2 is more significant still on the G Pro Superglide. Pre and post travel on this copy are actually minimal, so it actually feels quite good. The side flex, I don't feel switch grind. That's the most important thing, and I don't think that I would feel that flex in-game. And of course, I don't have any popping out of the box. The pre-travel on mouse 4 and mouse 5 is still kind of significant before you get to the actuation of that switch. But surprisingly on this copy, my post-travel on mouse 4 and mouse 5 are kind of non-existent. So this definitely beats out my original batch of the G Pro Superglide 2. But you guys can kind of see like the build quality here, flagship versus Logitech flagship. They're on par. I mean, they've got a tough battle if Pulsar is going to keep coming out with these really high-end flagship mice in their line. So hopefully if you guys pick up an X2H V3, hopefully yours doesn't have that right-click issue. Other than that, though, the build is absolutely perfect. Getting to the Superglide V2, this thing is really nice. I love this pad. This is 490 by 420. I've got the original Superglide here in the polarity that we collabed on, but the pad is almost half the thickness, at least it kind of seems that way, of the original Superglide. And I didn't think it was going to be that big of a selling point, but when you actually have your arm going from the table to the pad to your mouse, it just feels like more forgettable. You really don't think about it all that much, but when you really go to A and B test these, that lack of elevation from the lip of the pad and then on your pad from your desk, it really does feel nice for a comfort perspective and just feels more fluid in game. You don't, again, really think about it all that much, but again, when you sit down in front of these and you A and B test, it becomes way more noticeable. Now, the speed of the pad, I'm not going to get into like comparisons of the Superglide V2 with other glass pads because the speed really feels like a Superglide. The dynamic feels more on the neutral side, and static friction still feels nice, airy, open. It's not controlled, but it's not overly fast. It's really a nice neutral glass pad like the speed of the Superglide. But now, again, I feel like on Glide, on skates, which I'm using the dots that actually come with the pad, kind of remind me of wallhack skate dots that came with the SP004. But the glide of the pad on your skates feels smoother than the original Superglide, and on your skin, it feels a tiny bit smoother, and it does feel like my skin isn't catching quite as much as it does on the original Superglide. So I think it wicks away moisture really well. I think it's going to be a really nice performing glass pad, and they're the first to market with this thickness. And if you love glass pads, again, I didn't think the thickness was going to make that much of a difference, but it feels really good being as thin as it is. It doesn't flex anywhere on the pad because it's so thin, and it has that all nice silicone backing. So massive props to Pulsar for improving upon the original Superglide. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. Again, if you guys want to see more comparisons of the speed of the Superglide with other glass pads, you can go through some prior videos of other glass pads. But this is a really nice glass pad, and I like that the price is under $90 for this size. I hope it helped, guys. If you guys pick up the V3 or the Superglide 2, let me know in the comments how you enjoy them. Let me know how your build quality is. I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.